It's the finished product, the drive installed. The only wire is the thermal sensor wire that you're going to worry about. And while the machine's open, you want to stay away from the power capacitor. If it hasn't been 48 hours since it's been apart, it's probably charged. The first thing you're going to do is stand it up on its top. It's usually the easiest way to do this. You take the RAM door out. It's a good computer to flip around and kind of manhandle as you work on it. It's all one piece, so it's pretty easy. So instead of crouching down under it, you just flip it on its top and take the RAM door off, because that whole frame has to come off, and that's not going to come off with the RAM door screwed through it. Take 2 suction cups. You can do it with 1, but I prefer 2. And it's pretty simple, just you're going to be removing some screws, about, I think 10 of them. It's going to be 4 large screws on the bottom. And these are pretty much the only screws holding the iMac together. So now it's going to be more or less disassembled. So you have to start to be careful when you're handling it now. Take the rest of the screws out of it. It's now going to be just pressed together, so just keep that in mind. There's nothing really holding it together anymore. Here's the part where you lay it down. I lay it down when I disconnect the iSight camera. But you want to make sure you grab the back to the front and the front to the back, because there's nothing holding it together anymore. So be careful when you're lowering it, otherwise you could have it just fall in half on you. You're going to need to disconnect the iSight webcam. It's in the top there. It's just a matter of popping this thing apart. And to do that, I press on the sides of the LCD very carefully and pick up on the aluminum and pop them apart. Some come apart easier than others, but for the most part, that's all you do is press on the sides of that LCD where the foam is and pop up the aluminum. And then you can see that web camera wire. You have the camera mounted to the front. It had some tape on there, I already pulled it off. Most of it has a big ball of tape around the wire though, so you want to have a pair of tweezers just hanging out. And you disconnect that pretty easily. And then that's the last step. Now you can pull off the front of the iMac. You take the aluminum part away, leave the rest of the computer, and then we can start to unhook the LCD. This there, you'll be working in down here to unhook the wires. You know, probably blow out about a pound of dust. Real dusty in the bottom. Then you got to unhook the thermal sensor from the LCD, because it's going to be a wire that's hanging you up when you go to pull it off. So it's marked on the board. It's pretty simple. I use a couple spudgers and just pop out the connector. Now on smaller iMacs, they still have screws that are on the inside for the LCD. On large iMacs, on some of the models, all the screws go through the aluminum frame and hold on the LCD, and they do everything all at once. Well, with these iMacs, there's still some screws holding on the LCD underneath the frame, so you're going to take those out. You're going to be working right over a bare LCD, so you've got to be really careful when you pop all these screws out. It's just next thing I do is pop the LCD up so I can get in there and unhook it. Sometimes I'll use little spudgers, it's almost like kickstands. Prop something up so I can get under it. We're going to have to be marking that wire to which side of it is connecting to which side, because there's no markings normally. So it's good to mark one side and the other so you can't reverse it. And we got to work down a little bit. There's going to be 2 more wires like the ones we just unhooked. Same drill there. We're going to mark the wires and unhook them. Have a better look at those two wires down there. Gotta kind of dig them out below the optical drive there. There they are. There's going to be two wires that need to be pulled out and separated. Sharpie marker them first so we know which way they go. Dash on one and the other. And same thing, work them apart just by hand. It's a hard spot to get to for sure. But at this point, LCD comes up almost all the way, so you can tip it quite a bit. Just don't risk damaging those wires. Now you can pick it all the way up. The wire is disconnected. And we're just working on peeling off the LVDS cable for the display. So there's a big black adhesive strip you peel off. I save it for later. I stick it back on. Sometimes like you see these tapes, they're just cheap yellow tape, but these are the big thick black adhesive strips. So some of them are better off. Like on this one, I just ripped it. I didn't like the way it was pulling on that LCD, so just get the stickers off, and then there's this connector on the top. It's a real nightmare to unhook also. So be careful with it. Be patient with it. Alright, so pushing both sides of the connector inward, grab little tabs, you pull it in, and then you can just pull it out. Yeah, we've probably still got that thermal temperature wire hung up, routed behind the fan, so be sure when you pick the LCD up now that wire isn't snagged back there, because it's pretty well buried. So go ahead and dig that out while you're picking up the LCD, but it's pretty much free now. There's just going to be that temperature sensor that we had unhooked earlier, so we just pull that wire out, and now the LCD is totally free. Alright, now that you got it open, you start. You're going to peel off the thermal sensor off the hard drive. It's got a little plastic booty and a foam pad on top of that, some tape, a few things sticking down on top of it, hiding it. But yeah, that thermal sensor has to come off the hard drive. It just takes a second, but yeah, you peel off all those little bits and pieces. I think for later. Put everything back into the machine. I don't like to leave parts out, but it's going to be pretty much useless from now on using the solid state. So there's this big black plastic clip that you unclip the hard drive from the machine. I kind of snake under it actually and just pull the screws out of that clip that runs through that hard drive, because sometimes it's really hard to pull on that black plastic clip and unhook it. You can see that clip clips into the aluminum frame, this mounting point. Yeah, I just sneak the screws out instead of trying to unsnap it, because sometimes it's just really hard. It's easier to sneak back there and undo the screws. So you can do it any way you want, but that's what I do. Pull the screws out. Alright, so now on the hard drive, you're got it free by either popping it loose or pulling the screws out, and then we're going to go ahead and unhook the data cables. This is a little splintered. Work them out. They're pretty tough, so be rough pulling them out. Those two get popped loose, and then hard drive's free, and you can just pull it out of the machine. I'm really careful with connectors. I've broken them before, so I'm very patient with them. Because replacing them is usually next to impossible. So there's the hard drive out. I'm going to be using a product from iCDock. It's an enclosure, an adapter to 2.5 and 3.5. Be put in a solid state in this enclosure. It's a really cheap part, but it seems to work pretty good. I've had no trouble with them really. iCDocks. But yeah, it's a real cheap thing, really. Not much to it. A couple screws. So you just take the solid state and drop it into this thing. Not too much to explain there. But when you're closing it, you're going to feel like you're doing something wrong, probably. The way these go together, you got to kind of force them shut. You see this was bulging like crazy, and you just kind of force it, snap it together. Like I said, they're cheap. What it's doing is put pressure on the back and top to kind of squeeze the drive into place. It's effective, but yeah, it's going to be bulgy, and it's going to seem like you're doing something wrong, but you're not. That's how they go together. Now we just got to transfer a couple things. I'm just taking the screws off the hard drive to mount it back into the iMac. Just taking those off the old hard drive and just putting them into the iCDock, making them real tight. Alright, so this is a bit pointless, but I do it anyway. I'm going to be taking that thermal sensor and just throwing it through the iCDock, and I'm going to be reconnecting it to the iMac. Now, the thermal sensor is not going to work the same because it's on this cold drive, and it's going to cause the iMac fans to run fast because it thinks it's lost control or it's lost a reading off of this hard drive. So by default, the temperature fans are going to run higher. Now I just stick the iCDock back into the iMac. Check the connections and re-hook up the thermal sensor. Just a few things to do. Nothing really different from standard hard drive swap here. Alright, so you got the new hard drive in. Now you're just going to be putting the LCD back on. We start with getting the thermal wire hooked up onto the board. Got to be rerouted back behind the fan again. Just go ahead and snap these two power cables together first over on this side. Had them previously marked, so I'm guessing. I just hook them up in positions of where they were sharpied. And then you just reroute that thermal sensor wire for the LCD back around the fan. Maybe some flat electronics pliers will help you out, but just fish it back down correctly and rehook it. Alright, now there's this step of you get the two bottom wires hooked up, and now you're gonna fish the display cable up again. Go ahead and clean out everything. Get ready to close it back up. So just blow some dust off in there. Feed this wire back up and connect it. You're gonna have to do some taping. That's what I'm doing right now. Taping that thing back up there. Kind of a heavy cable, so. Alright, now we have the LCD down. We're going to put back the top of the aluminum, the iMac. Get our LCD in, get the screws in. The screws have been put back through the LCD, and then go ahead and put this front piece back on. And connect the eyesight camera. Before you drop the front down. But that's it, you just have to connect that camera and put it back on. Alright, so you just fight that wire down in there and start to firm up at closing. And get it nice and set it up, and you start throwing screws through. Still be careful on the LCD. Bad time to scratch it. Well, now you just throw the glass on. I'll go ahead and start this up. So there it is. So the startup time of, I got 17 seconds on that one. I'm going to show you an iMac that, I'll start this one up here. This has a regular hard drive. So we got 17 seconds with the other one. Yeah, it takes a minute. Oh, hey, there it goes. Wow, that's murder. Just murder. You go solid state. For sure. These things take so long to start up, man. Yay! Now we're finally up. That's what I mean.